Monday, July 11th, 2011, in Brooklyn, New York, Yehudah Kletzky was kidnapped. His body was dismembered and found in the apartment of attacker Levi Aron. In this video, I will narrate the entire catalogue of events. If you do end up liking this video, please subscribe. Yehudah Kletzky, known as Leiby, was the third of 6 children, and the only son of Nachman Kletzky and Esti Forster Kletzky, and were residents of Borough Park. He was reported missing late Monday afternoon while walking home from a day camp held at his school. Kletzky had begged his parents to let him walk home from the camp instead of taking the school bus. It was the first time that his parents allowed him to walk alone, and they had practiced the route the day before. His mother waited for him at a predetermined point, a few blocks away at 50th Street and 13th Avenue. The boy missed the turn upon leaving camp and headed in the wrong direction. Kletzky's mother called the Brooklyn South Shomrim Volunteer Civilian Patrol. Shomrim is the local Jewish civilian patrol in the area, and they reported a missing child at 6:14 p.m. Brooklyn South Shomrim, which says it receives 10 calls of missing children per day, immediately checked stores, candy stores, and homes of friends and relatives where the boy may have gone. By 8:30 p.m., Shomrim contacted the New York City Police Department. Just to confirm, Shomrim is just a local Jewish civilian patrol who they work for the community, the local community, but when there is a bigger problem that they can't solve, they then go to the police. The New York City Police Department declared a level 1 search, something normally undertaken after a child is missing for 24 hours. The police search involved canine units, mounted police, and helicopters. On Tuesday morning, together with Shomrim organizations in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, Flatbush, and Williamsburg, made an all-out call for volunteers to join the search. 5,000 Orthodox Jewish volunteers from the local community and from as far as Queens, Long Island, the Catskills, Monterey, and Boston joined in a block-by-block search. Bangladeshi residents of nearby Kensington also joined the search. State Assemblyman Dov Hikind posted a $5,000 reward for information leading to the return of the child, which was eventually upped to $100,000 by members of the community. Meanwhile, Yaakov German, a Boboveh Hasid and father of Kletzky's yeshiva rabbi, went door to door on Tuesday morning with his son to examine videos from surveillance cameras posted in stores and offices along the boy's route. The videos showed that after leaving his school at 1205 44th Street between 12th and 13th Avenues at about 5:05 p.m., Kletzky missed his turn at 13th Avenue and continued down 44th Street. Other videos showed the boy walking by Shomrim Locksmith at 44th Street and 15th Avenue, and then along 44th Street at 17th Avenue. On 18th Avenue, the boy was seen talking to a man, who then crossed the street and entered a dentist's office. When the man came out, Kletzky followed him and appeared to get into his car.
At 2:40 a.m. this morning, detectives apprehended Levi Aron at his residence at 466 East 2nd Street in Brooklyn, where he made statements implicating himself in the death of 8-year-old Leiby Kletzky, and where remains believed to be those of the missing boy were found by detectives in a refrigerator in the suspect's 3rd floor attic apartment, and in a dumpster on 20th Street between 4th and 5th Avenues in Brooklyn, wrapped in black plastic garbage bags inside of a red suitcase. The suspect turned 35 years old today. Leiby went missing Monday afternoon after he failed to meet his mother at 13th Avenue and 50th Street. His parents had agreed to let him walk by himself the 7 blocks from his day camp at the Yeshiva Boyden School. Instead of walking to 13th Avenue and 50th Street, Leiby continued along 44th Street until he reached 18th Avenue, where he encountered Aron and asked him for directions. At 5:40, Aron left the dentist's office and got into his parked car with Leiby. With the assistance of a receptionist and another dentist associated with the practice, detectives at 2 a.m. today found records that establish Aron's name and address. He was apprehended 40 minutes later.
It couldn't be true, but just gotta read again, turn on the radio, hear it 5 times till you believe it.
Everyone is tattered. It's horrible. Our community just, these things aren't supposed to happen to people. This family is such a great family. They're good, good Orthodox Jews. They're, dedicated to their lives, and it's really sad that this happened.
First night, 11 o'clock, the search. I went over to the school, started calling all the parents and the kids to find out if anybody saw anything or he went home maybe with one of the kids. After we finalized every single kid that he's not in their houses, we started searching, calling all the residents in Borough Park and putting loudspeakers to try to find them. I started myself with a friend of mine a search on my own because I saw the cameras 1 o'clock in the middle of the night from the school that the kid went out towards the left, towards 13th Avenue, 44th Street. Corner, 15th Avenue, went into the locksmith. We waited 20 minutes for the owner to come. We saw the cameras. My son is the teacher from the kid, so I called him over. We saw the kid walking, like making with his hands up and down and walking, and it turned in an angle. We saw the glasses with his payas under the ear, exactly what we were looking. My son says 100% that's a student. We went back to 44 on Day Hill, where we're in now. That's Wheels to Lease. I brought a technician to open up the cameras here. And actually we saw the kid passing, going to 18, going back like he's lost, back and forth. And then we saw somebody walking by, the kid following. We opened another camera. We saw him going to the car with that perp. And then we searched again the cameras. We saw that he went into a White House. That is a dentist, that the detectives searched from there. We gave him all the evidence, and from there they found exactly that he came to pay a bill. They had his credit card. From there they had a lead to 7-Eleven. That had again a picture, and they saw the kid in the car. They had his address, and that's how they made the bust in his house. The whole time we were going, we were feeling we're going to get him alive. We went on and on and on, and I have not one kid, I have a big family, I have 12 kids. And I'm sure we're going to have to answer to all the kids in different ways. They should know exactly what happened, but to watch them, not to talk to strangers. At the funeral, everybody was crying because I visualized what happened and I saw the body like in front of my eyes, and we all cried. Because we all have children and we all visualized it was able to happen to anybody.
According to the 450-word statement by the suspect in which he confessed to killing the boy, Aron claimed that Kletzky had asked him for directions and accepted a ride, saying he wanted to be dropped off at a bookstore. Aron suggested that they drive together to a wedding in Monsey, New York. They returned around 11:20 p.m. Aron claimed that he planned to return the boy to his family on Tuesday, but when he saw the missing child posters the next day, he said he panicked. He then returned to the apartment and smothered the boy with a towel. Then he dismembered the body and stuffed it into bags, which he placed in a suitcase and left in a dumpster in another neighborhood. A video from the security camera at the wedding hall in Rockland County confirmed that Aron was at the wedding, but no sign is seen of Kletzky. Another surveillance video showed at a local Sunoco gas station showed Aron and Kletzky getting out of Aron's car and going into the bathroom. The video was time-stamped 8:15 p.m. There was no evidence that the victim had been sexually abused. The suspect was unknown to the boy before meeting him on the street. Levi Aron is reported to have been an Orthodox Jew who grew up in Brooklyn. His father worked at the Hasidic-owned B&H Photo in Brooklyn. His mother died 5 or 6 years previously. Aron lived in the attic apartment of his parents' 3-family home on the corner of Avenue C and East 2nd Street in Kensington neighborhood. He was married twice. In 2004, he married Diana Dunov, an Israeli woman, and in 2007, he married Deborah M. Parnell of Tennessee, who was a divorced mother of 2, whom he had met online, and with whom he moved to Memphis, where he worked as a security guard. Both marriages ended in divorce. Aron worked as a clerk at a hardware supply company in Brooklyn. He was described by his co-workers as quiet and socially awkward. Aron had injured his head when he was hit by a car while riding his bike at the age of 9 and suffered problems stemming from that accident. It is believed that this caused extreme shyness and neurotic behaviors with Aron in later life. He had no prior arrest record.
Of his parents' house and worked at a local hardware store nearby. Leiby Aron was known in his neighborhood to be a quiet guy.
He wasn't more strange than a typical strange person. He didn't do anything crazy.
The people who worked with him for years, the people who know him well, couldn't even talk about him today.
I am not to be interviewed. We're sick about it.
Except for his ex-wife, Debbie Aron. She lives in Memphis with 2 kids from another relationship.
We lived together. Yeah, he helped me. Yeah, he was really good to the kids. That's what I'm saying. This is all out of character. Came out of nowhere.
The two had met on a Jewish dating website in 2006. She said at first Aron was shy. After a few months, though, he moved from Brooklyn to Memphis for her. There, he worked security in this building for the 1 year they were married. In 2007, Debbie took out a restraining order against Aron, but still, she said he was harmless.
He was so hysterical about us getting a divorce. He didn't want to get a divorce, and I wanted to get the divorce.
Ultimately, he moved back to Brooklyn, where he stayed under the radar. Police say his only prior contact with them was a summons for urinating in public last year. His ex-wife said he'd become less religious since moving back to a quite religious neighborhood, where people now wish they would have never had a reason to learn his name.
It is a sick thing. This guy is a monster.
On Wednesday, July 20th, the Office of the New York City Medical Examiner released autopsy results revealing that Kletzky had ingested a lethal mix of 4 different drugs and had then been smothered. The cause of death was determined to be intoxication from a combination of cyclobenzaprine, which is a muscle relaxant, quetiapine, an antipsychotic, as well as hydrocodone, followed by smothering. Upon release of the autopsy results, the case was officially ruled a homicide. On 9th August, the New York City Medical Examiner's Office revealed that Kletzky had ingested a 5th drug, duloxetine, which is used for generalized anxiety disorder and as an antidepressant. Hours after the autopsy results were released, a Brooklyn grand jury indicted Aron on 8 counts of murder and kidnapping, including 2 counts of first-degree murder, 3 counts of second-degree murder, 2 counts of first-degree kidnapping, and 1 count of second-degree kidnapping, which carries a maximum sentence of life in prison without parole. One of Aron's lawyers, Gerard Maroney, resigned from the case, saying that he could not represent the defendant as the allegations were too horrific. Aron was declared competent to stand trial in an arraignment at the New York State Supreme Court in Brooklyn on August 4th. Results of the psychiatric evaluation indicate that Aron was diagnosed with an adjustment disorder. The suspect was said to be confused and apathetic, with a practically blank personality. Details also emerged that Aron had a younger sister, who died while institutionalized for schizophrenia. Aron was being held at Rikers Island on round-the-clock suicide watch. He gave his first media interview to New York Post on August 12th.
He said in court that your client heard voices and hallucinated.
I'm not going to elaborate any further on it. This time, he's been arraigned on a charge of second-degree murder and kidnapping. At this time, we're going to express our first-degree murder. Forgive me. Yes, he's been arraigned on first-degree murder and a charge of kidnapping as well. We express our condolences to the family. At this time, we're going to let the judicial process take its course. We're not going to make any further statements.
Can you just talk about your request for protective custody and why you're concerned about that?
No, we're not making any further statements.
Hearing voices. Just tell us what you said in court. That you can say what you.
We're not making any further statements.
How is his demeanor? Can you talk about his demeanor?
Not good. Not good. His demeanor is not good.
In what way?
Just explain what happened in the courtroom.
Our condolences to the family.
Again, I ask you, what did you decide to do after seeing those flyers and returning to your home? All right, after you panicked, did you give him anything? What did you give him? Well, he doesn't remember. Did you give him drugs? These were your prescription drugs?
Yes.
What time did you give him these drugs?
6 o'clock.
Did it come a time when you tied Leiby up? When was that?
30.
All right. After he was tied up, what did you do? Did you get anything? Like a towel? All right. What did you do with that towel? Did it come a time that Leiby was fighting back when you were doing this?
Yes.
And did it come a point in time that you realized that Leiby was dead? Now, in order to put him in the suitcase, you had to cut the body?
Yes.
After you got the knife from the kitchen and you cut his body, you put parts of the body into a suitcase. And then what did you do with that suitcase?
Took it to a dumpster.
All right. Mr. Levy, has anyone threatened you or forced you to plead guilty? Pleading guilty of your own free will? And are you satisfied with the job your attorneys have done for you? At this time, I'm going to ask the clerk of the court to accept the plea of guilty to counts 3 and counts 8 of the indictment to cover all charges.
Before sentencing, the judge then asked,
Mr. Aron, is there anything you wish to say before I impose the agreed-upon sentence? These sentences shall run consecutive, meaning a minimum of 40 years.
And with that, Levi Aron was taken away.
Okay, the case itself was pretty straightforward. Like, there wasn't much evidence required. Levi gave it all himself. I'm not talking on script anymore. I'm talking off the cuff. But I'm trying to understand the reasons. Now, the Jewish Hasidic community in New York is a very tight-knit community. Like all communities across America, Albanian communities tight-knit, Pakistani communities tight-knit, Italian communities tight-knit. Everyone kind of knows everyone, right? So when Levi saw Kletzky walking down the street that day, for him to be concerned would be normal. Small kid walking on the street by himself, what is going on? But he takes him to a wedding, and presumably on the way there and at the wedding, that's where he gave him the drugs to calm him down, keep him somber so he doesn't scream, shout, tell people what's going on. Levi did say he took the boy to take care of him, basically, but then when he found out that there was people looking for him, he decided, or he panicked, and he thought, oh, let me chop his body up. Makes no sense. I thought long and hard about the reasons, and sometimes there is no reason. As Michael Caine says in Batman, some people can't be bought or reasoned with. Some people just want to watch the world burn. But even this is hard for me to accept in the case of Levi, simply because he hasn't really been arrested before, never really been on the police radar, doesn't really have a criminal profile, and it's just very hard to try and analyze. I mean, if you look at the interrogation, we don't have the interrogation footage, but he wrote down his confession, he admitted guilt as he pleaded guilty, and he simply said, as I said earlier, he only did it because he panicked. Now, even those that want to watch the world burn have some kind of sophistication, because to be sadistic requires some level of thinking. I don't think Levi was thinking throughout this whole process. And unless his life was so bad, he thought, I'm better off in jail, 3 square meals a day, maybe I'll make some friends, and nobody will ever bother me again, I can only pin this down to sheer stupidity. Now, it's never a good idea to try and rationalize a killer, but we are all human beings and rationality we all possess, though admittedly in varying degrees. I guess in the end, whether it's me or you, no matter how much we think about this, all we can really do is hope that the Kletzky family, their hardship has been eased, and Leiby is remembered accordingly. If you are listening to this, that means you stayed there till the very end, which I know can be hard, particularly my voice. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.